A seven-story building under construction caved in yesterday at First Avenue, Banana Island, Lagos. 7 persons, all construction workers, were rescued while an undisclosed number of persons were still trapped at about 8:30 p.m.
Seven-story building under construction collapsed late Wednesday at Banana Island in Ikoyi, here in Lagos, and at least 7 people are reported injured. Official statements from the Lagos state government said the ill-fated structure caved in while concrete casting was being put in place. Arise correspondent Oba Adeoye has been tracking the story for us. Earlier today, he reported denial of access into the accident site by authorities at Banana Island, but he joins us again for further updates. Hello, Oba, if you can hear me, please, what do we know? What's the current status of this unfortunate incident?
Yes, after waiting several hours outside the gates, we were eventually allowed access into the site of the collapsed building, and you can see action taking place right behind me here. We are right here at the site of the collapsed building, and we've been speaking with officials. The story is the same, that about 7 persons were injured and treated on site before taken to the hospital for further treatment. We were also told that after taking the roll call of everybody on site, 1 person has not been located as we speak. Nobody can say for sure if the person was actually on site as at the time of the collapse or he was not on site. We were told by one of the officials here that they've been trying to get across to the fellow through his phone, but the phone has been engaged. That's the exact word that he used. Officially, there's no casualty, but the rubble of the collapsed building is still being checked to see if perhaps someone or something is still trapped under the rubble down there. It was a struggle for journalists earlier today to gain access to this point. We really cannot say for sure why that was. We were told point blank that we're not going to be given access into this estate, but after to and fro, after discussions, after arguments here and there, we were eventually allowed access to this site. So we are still monitoring the rescue effort that is ongoing right now, and I know for sure that this particular process is not going to come to a close today from what we are seeing right here. But apart from this structure, there are 3 other buildings that are under construction this same site. That is one of them you are seeing on the camera, and right beside it is the one that collapsed, and right beside it we have 2 other structures. I think this one is about 8-story building or so, but we were told that the one that came in was 7-story building. So it's a big construction site as we speak, because beyond these 4 buildings, one of them just came down. We still have other space expanse of land here. Okay, we have, you can see right on camera some I think these are public health officials or so. They are just arriving at this scene to also take record of what they are seeing themselves firsthand. I'll try to speak with one of them after conducting their own on-site assessment. So like I was saying before these people came in, we still have an expanse of land there, and very possible that there will also be other construction of buildings in this remainder of the land right here, right now where we speak.
Okay, but if I could just come in very quickly. Sorry, you did mention that the concrete casting, the Lagos State government had said that it was because the concrete, no, not because, it was while the concrete casting was being put in place that the building went down. But has there been any other cause, any reason as to why the building structure went down in the first place? Because that in itself is a normal process that goes into setting up, such a structure, a 7-story building like this.
Okay, while speaking with the permanent secretary of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, that's Dr. Femi Okeosoyintolu, I asked him the same question, and what we were told is that they cannot ascertain right now the reason why the structure came down, but that investigation is still ongoing to ascertain for sure why the structure came down. And we also spoke to the special advisor to the governor on issues like this, and he corroborated what Dr. Osoyintolu said, that the expert will still come, or to site to carry out integrity tests on these other buildings, and then carry out their own investigation on the building that came down, and then came out with their findings, with their reports of what actually led to the collapse of that building. But if you saw the video that went out yesterday, while the building came down, you could see that there are some people standing at the topmost part of the building while the structure came down. We were told that those guys on top of the building were engaged in the casting process when that accident happened. And I think that is what led to that insinuation that possibly is the casting process that led to the collapse of the building. But officially, we are waiting for the expert to come on site to carry out their own investigation and, of course, give us report of that investigation as to the precise cause of the collapse of the building.
Thank you so much, Obadi. Excuse me, Cynthia here. Just to confirm, do you see any action being taken by officials? Because you made it very clear, of course, we can see that there are other buildings, close to that which collapsed. Are you seeing any action by officials to ensure that we're not going to experience a case of substandard building material being used, which might lead to a repeat of what we just saw happen, unfortunately, yesterday?
All right, Cynthia, this building have been erected already. They are still under construction, like you rightly observed. But we cannot say for sure if the materials that went into this other construction went into, normal vetting and testing and eventual approval before they are used for this structure. But in one of the statements that was issued by the Commissioner for Physical Planning yesterday, the building that came down, or perhaps the other buildings, never got any permission to be erected. We are waiting to see how much investigation will go into that. If indeed the owner of this structure did not get any permission, and if it did not get any permission, what action did the government, what step did they take to ensure that the structure did not go on after ascertaining that it did not get the required permission to go ahead with the construction? We've not heard much about that, but as per the materials that went into the construction of this building, we cannot independently confirm right here, right now, that they went through the testing process and approval process before they were used for this structure. But one thing is certain, common sense will tell us that the materials used for the building that collapsed must have come from the same source as the materials used for these other buildings that are still standing. But like I told you, the integrity test will be conducted on these structures to ascertain their validity, their strength. And if they fail that test, they also may be pulled down according to the practice of the government.